think I'm going to vomit. I've got to turn over. Can somebody turn me over? The paramedic started to flip me on my side, and then I had another blackout, the second heart stoppage in just several minutes. When I regained consciousness the second time, I was on a gurney in the ambulance speeding to the hospital. My wife was in the front seat with the driver telling him how to get there faster. True story. As the paramedics wheeled me into the ER, a nurse appeared to hook me up to an IV. I'm not a huge fan of needles and objective, but the nurse grabbed my arm and just jammed it in, which triggered a third cardiac event in less than an hour. I passed out again. It was a long night. The good news was that my heart activity was being monitored on the EKG by then, so the ER doctors could see what was going on. They discovered that I was dropping P waves. In a heartbeat, the P wave is the ignition. You know, when you put the key in the ignition of your car and it doesn't turn over, but you pump the gas anyway and flood the engine? My heart was that flooded engine. After a night in the hospital, my doctors and I theorized that I might have a genetic condition. My father had had significant cardiac issues after all. The first thing I did when I got out of the hospital was call my friend and colleague Mehmet Oz, aka Dr. Oz, a cardiothoracic surgeon. Dr. Oz referred me to the top electrophysiologist in the country at the UCLA Medical Center. I arrived at my appointment with my heart specialist, fully expecting to be told that I'd need a pacemaker similar to my father. But after some diagnostic testing, the doctor said, "Michael, when you were in my waiting room, what was the average age of the people in there?" I'd say probably 65, 17 years older than I was then. "You're right. You're the healthiest person to come into this office in 10 years, he said. "I don't want to put a pacemaker in you. It's the most overprescribed surgery there is. You need to make lifestyle changes. I think this had a lot to do with anxiety and not taking care of yourself. You really need to look at your stress levels." What the? But I was in great shape. At a healthy weight, I ran 3 5Ks a week and took supplements for my health. I was living what anyone would consider an objectively healthy lifestyle. It wasn't like I was doing anything wrong. I wasn't a morbidly obese, chain-smoking alcoholic. I was probably more physically fit than I'd ever been. And yet, in this great shape, I'd had 3 cardiac events in a row that gave my wife and me and our 2 kids one of the most frightening nights of our lives. For the most part, I'd been doing what anyone should do for good health. But clearly what worked for anyone wasn't cutting it for me. I would have to reevaluate my approach to my own fitness and health and make some changes, or I might have another cardiac event. According to my wife, this was not an option. Yep, the sleep doctor got a wake-up call. So I pushed the pause button on my routine to figure out the best approach for me, since what I was currently doing had put me in the hospital.
Oh, by the way, hi, it's Stacey. This is my side of the story. Meanwhile, in New York City, I was having a crisis of a different kind. Often after teaching 5 classes in a day, I somehow had to rally to enjoy a night out with my partner and our close friends. I felt bad that I always seemed to be the odd man out, or odd woman out, I guess, having to leave early and go to bed. Some of my mornings began at 6 a.m. at SoulCycle, where, as one of the founding master instructors, I was compelled to teach high-quality classes more than 20 times per week. Getting less than 8 hours of sleep per night was like torture for me. As much as I tried to muster the strength to hang with my crew, it was hard for me to squeeze out what little energy I had left by the end of my day. Guys, everybody needs sleep. I mean, granted, some might need more than others, but I knew that I required a lot back then. Everything needs to rest. Even your computer and your phone must chill in their docks to recharge. And humans, believe it or not, are no different. It got to the point where I went to see my doctor about getting a prescription to help me maximize my day. True story. At the end of the visit, she sent me home with a prescription to sleep more. Unfortunately, that was still impossible. For a while, I tried to just live on a different schedule than everybody else, but that wasn't working either. And when I felt run down, I would tend to slip into an argumentative state of mind. I'd just be at a function or at a gathering, and as the hours passed, I would start looking at my watch, anxiously looking at my watch. If I could even make it just till 11 p.m., I'd need toothpicks to keep my eyes open sometimes. I was diagnosed.